knocked away. Marshall, Clark to the rim. An 11-0 Iowa run. As one of the arena cameramen got hit there after the bucket, and the officials stopped play.
Right here, this is Caitlin Clark all on her own, jumping out to double team. She sensed that she could get the steals, that she could create some havoc, and she did, and got the layup the other way. And let's go.
Gabby Marshall approves.
I drive a very nice car. It's very fast, very shiny. But sadly, it's not built for the famous Aussie lifestyle. And I love the famous Aussie lifestyle. I love the fashion. I love the food. But mainly, I like to drive here. So this is my second car. Designed for my second home, Australia. Bike rack, rod holders, roof racks, thong storage, built-in pie oven, freshwater shower. Oh, hey Barrow. Valtteri is having a little shower too. Budget smuggler drying system. BRS, buck reduction system. Mullet aeration technology.
Check this out. That's a bird.
I'm going to be busy racing my first car, so I put this baby on Uber Carshare. You can rent it for free, because I am very rich already. Australia's home of second cars. Valtteri will miss you.
This evaluation is designed to help you transition into civilian life.
The male suspect on motorcycle.
Finding employment will be challenging.
When can I get my bike back?
It's the third time I've seen you here this week, and I've never seen you before that.
I'm just new in town.
Nobody's new in this town. Do you have family here?
The legend, Dean Miller, speed killer. And you are?
You knew my mom?
Why did you come here?
I want to race.
Your time has passed.
I got $76 to my name right now.
Repeat after me. I don't know how to ride.
I don't know how to ride.
Smell of a winner. Let's see what you got. Racing is physical. Pushing you to the limits 100%. You gotta fight your instinct to survive. Man, what did I tell you? What did I tell you? What did I say? Hello? Wes?
Who's that?
Bobby Tresco. It's funded by one of the wealthiest families in the state.
A lot of guys are gonna come after you in this sport.
Don't beat him by slugging him.
You beat him with skill.
Hey, look at that. I taught him that outside pass.
And I taught you that outside pass. Welcome to the fast life.
You trust me?
Don't make me regret this.
The faster I go, the calmer I feel.
So you just need to keep going faster.
Back to your seat.
I refuse to walk away from the fight.
Okay. Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, Aston, now McLaren, all have a speed on the straights. Our shot is battling in the turns. We need to build our car for combat.
How am I supposed to make that safe?
Who said anything about safe?
Make a big noise playing in the street. Gonna be a big man someday. You got mud on your face, you big disgrace. Kicking your can all over the place. Singing, we will rock you. Singing, we will rock you. Everybody, we will rock you.
I love my flying bikes. Schreiner Children is supplying custom-built adaptive bikes and wheelchairs for kids who dream of their first set of wheels. Thank you, Schreiner's Children.
Through Wheels for Love, you can make a kid's dream come true right now.
Because of you, I get the most amazing gear anywhere. Big or small, your gift helps us all.
Go online to lovetotherescue.org.
Driver, start your engine!
Good evening, race fans. Welcome to the Drafting the Circus program brought to you by Sinister One Productions. My name is Frank Santorowski. I'll be your host for the next hour as we talk about this past week in racing. Joining me in the studio, Richard Uden and Levi. Fellas, how we doing?
Very good, thank you.
All right. Lee, good to see you.
Good.
Listen,
Thank you.
Quick nod to our sponsors, really quick. Luis Torres Multimedia, Uber Rideshare Australia. We've got a new trailer up there, One Fast Move, coming to PrimeTV in August. Got the trailer for the Senna series and the trailer for the new Brad Pitt Formula One movie called F1. Also, Shriners Children's Hospital, Give Bikes, Give Joy. And we've got a guest in tonight, Jesse Jakubajtys, who's running modifieds up there in the New England area, formerly with the NHSTRA, which is disbanded. So you're kind of, I guess, like you said, you're out on your own. You're with your team is called Mophead Motorsports. So, Jesse, welcome to the show, man. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you guys for having me on tonight.
All right. So if you'll recall, if you've been watching this a while, Jesse was on our show a long time ago when he was just a kid, 15 or 16 years old. I think you were running Legends cars at the time or
correct,
something like that. But you moved up to something with quite a bit more horsepower. And so obviously we know you got started in racing at a very young age. So just tell us a little bit about your journey from, how you first became interested in racing and decided that you want to try it to where you are today.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. I started out racing quarter midgets back in 2006 at age 6 down at the Little T Speedway down in Thompson, Connecticut, and the Silver City Speedway down in Meriden, Connecticut. The interest in racing, I'm not really too sure where it came from. I know that my dad raced when he was younger, and he used to take me to the racetrack just to watch. He'd since been finished up racing, and I kind of dragged him back into it. He kind of gives me some trouble for it sometimes. But, yeah, we raced the quarter midgets from when I was 6 till I was 11 years old, and then at age 12, we moved up into the legend cars, and we raced primarily at Seekonk Speedway down in Seekonk, Mass. Did that for a few years. Once I started college, we had a little bit of a hiatus for a couple of years where we weren't racing. We were kind of stuck. We weren't sure what we wanted to do, what avenue we wanted to take. And we eventually got into the modified series. We were racing at the Hudson Speedway mostly for a few years in a crate motor modified series up there. Traveled around to a few different tracks in New Hampshire along the way. And this past weekend, I made my debut in a tour type modified at the Star Speedway up in Epping, New Hampshire, up at an open show. So yeah, like you said, we have come quite a ways since when I was a little kid in 2006 to now. But racing has been my whole life the whole time. So.
I'm sorry, I was muted trying to talk. I hate when that happens. I was gonna say, so your debut in the tour type series, how did that go? How'd you finish?
We ended up finishing 9th out of what I think was a 25 or 26 car field, which was really exceeded our expectations.
Yeah, that's respectable. Yeah.
Yeah, it was our first time with the new engine in the car, the big motor that's right up and around 600 horsepower compared to our 400 and change horsepower crate motor that we're used to running. And yeah, everything went well. We were really just looking to, it was kind of a test run for us. We wanted to make sure that everything stayed together, and as a group, as a team, we had what it took to make the race and finish all the laps of the race. And we did all of that. So it was really a good day for us, and I'm really proud of the effort that we put in.
Yeah, modified racing seems to be widely popular in the Northeast. I know my uncle, he's up in Pennsylvania. He runs a Formula One team, but he's got 4 or 5 neighbors all got modifieds in their backyards, right? So I know that, like, down in Kentucky, it's more, the modified fields are smaller. It's more like late models and like strictly stocks, run what you brung kind of stuff at the local track. So so you're running in a, like I said, 25 car field, 600 horsepower. Are those modified cars? I don't know tons about them. I know they look cool. They're halfway between a stock car and an open wheel car. You really could call it either one. But are those particular cars, are they linked to a manufacturer? Do you have, like, is there like a Ford version, Chevy version, or are they all kind of more, just you build it and?
Well, there are different manufacturers that build them across the country, really, mostly on the East Coast. Like, there are a few that are based up here in New England. Like, I have a Spafco race car that's based out of Connecticut. Mm-hmm. There are a few manufacturers that have gained popularity over the years down in North Carolina, Fury race cars and LFR chassis and Troyer out of upstate New York. So there are a few manufacturers that bounce around. They're not really like manufacturer based, like Ford, Chevy, that type of thing.
Right.
But there are builders, and there are a few teams that run homemade chassis, like close friends of mine over with the Bowler Racing team on the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour. They're building theirs in-house. They have been since, I think, the 60s. So they're a little bit of an outlier. But yeah, there are manufacturers around that you get all your parts and pieces from.
So how did you come up with the name Mophead Motorsports? Were you working as a janitor in your off time and said, that's a cool name?
Well, it all started when I was young, back in the beginning of high school. I think I had a bet with my grandfather that I wouldn't go the whole summer without a haircut, and that turned into long blonde locks. And somebody gave me the nickname Mophead, whatever you want to say, and so it kind of stuck for a while. And since then, the hair is gone, but we've kept the branding, I guess, and people still call me Mop, even though the locks aren't there, but it's still kind of the brand. So we've stuck with it.
Yeah. So Lee, Richard, you guys have any questions you'd like to chime in with?
No, I just think it's, so what you consider yourself, I guess you're part of the sort of whatever NASCAR call it, like the homegrown tracks. I can't remember what the NASCAR terminology is now. That they use that. Yeah, but they've got another name for it. I think they use on their marketing stuff. And yeah, I think it's great. I think that it's motorsport's fun. It's expensive. And especially in Europe. But even so in the US, you look at NASCAR. A lot of the guys that get into NASCAR either from pretty well-off family or have some pretty big backers. And I know from your neck of the woods that there you got, Joey Logano is one of your guys up there, I think, isn't he? And, Martin Truex is around that part as well. And, they've all come from pretty good backing, but it's still great that, you can have these series, people still go race on a relatively sensible budget. I'm sure you probably don't agree that it's sensible, but, it's not, it's affordable. And do you get sponsored through this, and do you get companies that back you and support you through this, or is it all sort of funded by yourself?
No, I've actually been really fortunate over the years. Through my whole career, I've had a lot of good backers and sponsors that have been with me for over a decade. Some have come on fairly recently, but Yeah, I mean, there's no company like you would see in NASCAR, like Home Depot or M&M's, of course.
Yeah.
But I've got a few local businesses that have stuck with me for a very long time and been very supportive. So I really couldn't do it without them. I mean, there are points where I do have to fund it myself, and my dad has been a huge help to me. Like, we're pretty much in it together. Like, he technically owns, truck, trailer, race car, motors, and stuff. It's been really him supporting me, but when it comes down to it, when I run out of sponsor money halfway through the season, it's me that's buying the tires and things like that. So it really takes a lot. Like you said, it's not cheap, but we've been able to be successful on what small budget we do have, and I'm really thankful for that.
Fantastic. No, it's really cool. I say it's nice to see it because you don't really get. And I know, like, is it Mav TV or whatever, probably. They may show some of your races and some of that stuff. I know it's still, you don't get much exposure, but it's great that there are these small companies that go around and support basically what's a hobby. They'll get something out of it as well, and you get you get to enjoy it yourself and hopefully keep all four wheels on the ground most of the time. And it's great, love it, really good.
Well, hey, Jesse, congratulations! Star Speedway is right in the backyard of where I live. You've got Lee USA Speedway right up the corner. The drag strip is literally Star Racetrack and the New England Dragway share property together, basically. So the modifieds up here in the New England area are super popular in the cup. The fields are tough. This is a tough little series up here, and to do ninth at Star is a very respectable finish. Congratulations on that. So next time you get up here, let me know. I'll swing by the racetrack and hang out with you some night. I think I'd love to see you racing around. Star. It's a great little track down there. But congratulations, man. That's pretty huge accomplishment.
Yeah, thank you. And we're actually planning on being back. We're actually going to be up at Lee, up the street next month. So that's one that we've got on our schedule, and we're also back up at Hudson Speedway in August as well. So cool. We really like those southern New Hampshire tracks. That's where I've raced most of my career, aside from the time I spent down at Seekonk. But they've done a great job at all of those tracks that we've just talked about. Just keeping them alive and upgrading them through the years, and doing their best to keep car counts up and providing a great place for not only the racer but the fan as well. So it's been great, and I really look forward to going all those tracks.
Yeah, well, I'll come out and see you when you hit Lee USA Speedway. They just did a humongous remodel in the off season. They upgraded the surface of the track. They put in a lot of new amenities there. It looks really good. The track's in probably some of the best shape it's been in probably a decade. So, but I'll have to come out and see you when you come into town. We'll hang out.
So, Jesse, have you had any significant injuries throughout your career?
In the race cars, I've done a little bit of damage. I most recently in the modified, like we talked about a little bit earlier, how they're open wheel, of a redneck Formula One car or something like that. When you rub wheels with another car, a lot of times that steering wheel will snap around on you, and even if you run with your thumbs outside the spokes, a lot of times it'll ratchet your wrist. So I did break my wrist a few years back in a modified race, and I've broken my ankle in the legend car before, piling it into the wall at Seekonk, and I had my feet on the clutch and the brake trying to stop it, and a 14-year-old me didn't know enough to pull them off before I hit. So, the ankle kept going and the pedal stopped. So fractured my ankle that way. But for the most part, I mean, these race cars are built safe, and we have all the best safety equipment you can have. I mean, it's every now and again, it's a dangerous sport. You'll have something go wrong and a little injury, but thankfully nothing major over the years, but just enough to keep my mom, really scared and not wanting to do it.
So what kind of speeds are you doing on those? I imagine most of the tracks are probably a quarter mile, half mile.
Yeah, so primarily what we've run in the modified has been between quarter mile and 3/8 tracks. I mean, we probably get on a quarter mile track. I'd say probably between 80 and 90 miles an hour at the end of the straightaway. But it's like when people ask me that are just, general fans, they ask, oh, how fast does the car go? And then you tell them that, and they're like, oh, I do that on the highway, right? But, like if we're on a bigger track and we gear the car differently, I mean, the sky's the limit. With a Tour Type Modified at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, you're going up over 130 miles an hour, I think. Like those things, they get around. They're actually faster, I think, than Cup cars at Loudon, like lap time wise. So it's like, yeah, I mean, on a quarter-mile track, it's tough to get them going because by the time you get full song, you're on the brakes again, getting down in the corner. So, but yeah, they definitely carry some speed, and the modifieds are really fun to drive. It's like a big go-kart. They have so much tire. They're 15-inch wide tires, and so when you point them somewhere, they go, and they really stick. It's really a fun deal.
So I think that you mentioned how the speed you get to. I may be wrong now; it may have changed, but for a while, the lap record at Bristol's held by a modified. I think they can get around there faster than the Cup car, I think.
Oh yeah, and I know that the Whelen Modified Tour has not been running Bristol in the past few years, and I know that it's in simple terms, I've heard it's very sketchy to go around there in a short track car, because for the first couple laps on a fresh set of tires, I hear that you can keep it almost wide open all the way around the track, and that's just mentally doesn't make sense. Like you have to, I can't imagine doing that,
No. So it turns out we have a mutual acquaintance from your neck of the woods. Somebody you used to race against called Matt Galco.
Yeah, I raced against Matt back in the quarter midget days, way back when I was just a kid. Yeah.
Yep. So Matt's now a data engineer with Joe Gibbs Racing, and we do a lot of work together. And I just messaged him now, and he says hello.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, Matt also has a modified now, and I know that he's racing a little bit less up here because he's living down south now. But
he's down here. Yeah, he's been here 9 months probably. But good guy, really good guy.
Yeah,
small world, I tell you, man.
It is indeed.
Yep.
All right, so Jesse, before we switch topics, you want to tell us where you're racing next, and do you want to plug any of your sponsors?
Yeah, I'd love to. Right now, our schedule, I only have 2 more races that I know that we're definitely planning on doing. Like I talked about, we kind of made that transition over to the Tour Type series. So we're kind of up in the air. We've been wanting to make sure that everything's going well before we commit to anything. But we're going to be racing with the Milton Cat Modified Racing Series up at Lee, USA, up on August 11th. And then we're going to be back with the same series at Hudson Speedway on August 18th. So we're looking forward to those 2 back-to-back weeks. And without, like you said, without sponsors, I definitely couldn't be here. And I have quite a few. JR Hudson Horse Transportation has been with me for a number of years, and I got to thank JR for all he does. Victory Lane Stables, Ultimate Pizza, Honeydew out of Brockton, Design Landscaping, Dalton Water. My mom and dad, they're not really my sponsors per se, but they support me fully with this whole deal. And all of my guys, Russ Hersey, my crew chief, he's been with me for a few years and taken our program really to the next level. And all of my guys that helped me not only at the racetrack, but at the race shop, just preparing everything and being there for me on hot days and making sure that I'm dialed in to try to go out and win. It's awesome. Couldn't do it without them.
All right, fantastic. And then are you active on social media? If somebody wanted to learn a little more about you? Now, I'm going to tell you this. I looked at your Facebook page, and your about information needs to be updated. Because it says, and I quote, it says, I'm a kid. I'm racing in the Legends Series. I'm like, okay, this must not have been updated in a while. But although your posts are recent, so.
Yeah, so I probably should do a little bit of a better job with my social media outreach. I'll admit that. But my personal page, just my name, Jesse Jakubajtys. I do have the Mophead Motorsports Facebook page, but I tend not to use it as much anymore because, truthfully, I have more friends on my personal page than I have likes on my racing page. So, but yeah, and we've got some YouTube videos out on Fenceline Films on YouTube. His name is Tom the Modified Guy, and he goes around really around the East Coast doing in-car videos. So whether it's me or any other modified driver around New England, there's a ton of good content on there of in-car videos that you could really learn a lot from watching it at all different tracks. So check that out. And yeah, like I said, my personal Facebook, we try to keep up as best we can with posts. But to be honest, I'm not too involved in the social medias like I was when I was younger, but I try to do the best I can.
Yeah, I mean, the older I get, the less I want to be on social media. It seems that everybody wants to push their political or religious views on me. And I just want to know if you had a nice weekend and how the kids are doing, you know? So, but anyway, so, yeah, so good luck to you, Jesse. And let's move on. Now, Richard, it is Shark Week, which means we have to talk about the British Grand Prix. I didn't know if you knew that the British Grand Prix corresponds with Shark Week, but it does.
What's the correlation between the two? Or are you just trying to confuse me?
Absolutely nothing. Okay. Absolutely nothing. But the British Grand Prix was this weekend. Your home Grand Prix in Silverstone, track you spent some time as a kid.
Yep.
Did Jesse drop out?
Yep.
Okay. Keith, do you need to change the frames? Okay. All right, Richard.
Okay.
So, British Grand Prix. I got to tell you, I think this was the most fun Formula One race to watch that I've seen in a couple of years. It was very entertaining. Richard, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the good old British summer played its part as normal. Silverstone, like all racetracks, seems to be its own little mini ecosystem. It can be dry and sunny 5 miles away where I used to live, and then you get to the track and it's 20 degrees cold, winds 3 times as strong, and it's rain's coming in sideways. But that's just how Silverstone works. It's open, it's windswept, it gets a lot of changing weather. I mean, it's former life as a World War II airbase. That's exactly what they needed. So it's a classic circuit. The drivers love it. It tests every aspect of the car's handling and performance, and you've now got 3, definitely arguably 4 teams that can compete at the sharp end of the grid, and you're getting great racing. And you've got to tip your hat to the likes of McLaren and Mercedes, and even Ferrari won a couple of races this year as well. So they're all in a position where they're pushing Red Bull, and it's great to see, and it produces some great races. So long may it continue.
Right. So we probably should mention the race was won by Lewis Hamilton, much to the delight of the British fans. It is his ninth win at Silverstone, and that's another record that Lewis has in his because Lewis has a ton of Formula One records, but the most wins by a driver at a single circuit, 9. The old record was 8. The old record was his for Silverstone. So
but and Schumacher had, I think, where was Schumacher? France, wasn't it?
Tied with somebody with 8.
He was tied with Schumacher on 8, and I think
Schumacher,
France.
Could have been, yeah. But either way, great day for the British fans, and I think that's the race started out with 3 British drivers qualified 1, 2, 3 between Hamilton, Russell, and Lando Norris. Russell obviously had some mechanical issues early on, and then dropped back in the order. He was one of the first cars out. Norris was there to think of the fight. I want to say the only thing that kept McLaren from doing a 1-2 in that race was their tire choices were not spot on. Again, we had a race with some changing conditions and a lot of decisions to be made on the go. We saw the Mercedes jump out to an early lead, and then both McLarens overtook them. And then the Mercedes got back out in front again. All the while, Max is right behind these first 5 guys, just lurking. Max's teammate, Perez, nowhere to be found, holding up the back of the grid.
Well, we could find him. He was way at the back,
way at the back, You just had to, wait for him to come around.
Yeah.
And it's like, the back and forth, and then and really, Lando's coming on strong. Lando was leading at the end, and as his tires started to wear off, Lewis was able to catch him, gobble up his lead, and I mean that's and then eventually Max was able to get around him as well to split the two Brits on the podium, but Max again extending his points lead. Good points day for Norris. Lewis gets that monkey off his back of not having won a race in 2.5 years. And
Saudi Arabia 2021.
Yeah, Lewis is very emotional after the race because I think when you get a streak that long of losing, your brain starts to think, "Have I won my last race? Have I won my last
41
race?"
year streak of I've had a 41-year streak of losing. Never mind 2.5.
Yeah. So,
but no, you made a good point there, Frank. This was, in all fairness, this was McLaren's race to lose, and they did a good job of it. We talked about it on this show before. And this is a very much simplification of it. But if there's to win a race each weekend, if there's 10 things that you need to get right to make that win happen, the guys like Red Bull and Mercedes will get 7 of them right every weekend without fail, just by turning up because they're so well organized. So then it's easy for them to get those next 3 and get the win. Whereas for, you're seeing it a little bit with Ferrari, and definitely now you're seeing it with McLaren. They're not used to it. They haven't done it for so long. They haven't concentrated on getting those procedures and those processes in place. They just turn around and, it's almost like a little bit deer in headlights, The ironic thing is they should have won Silverstone, and the race they did win at Miami, they looked into because of the safety car. I don't think Lando would have won the race in Miami if it wasn't for that safety car.
Probably not.
They did look into that one a little bit. But, so here, tactically, they got it wrong. The pit stops they got wrong with the tyre choice at the end of the race, and also with keeping Piastri out for 1 lap longer rather than double stacking him. He lost 20 seconds, trying to stick on a wet track in the slicks, whereas if they double stacked him, he may have lost 3 or 4 seconds. So, it's all about those decisions. You don't see McLaren, you don't see Red Bull, you don't see Mercedes, to a certain way, you still do see Ferrari doing that. But, they tend not, these successful teams, the winning teams, get these things right. And I'm sure as, McLaren start, at the front on a more regular basis, you will see them make less and less of these mistakes and come away with the win.
Absolutely. So, Lee, your perspective, did you get a chance to watch?
I did not. We had this is our busiest weekend at work. So I got to watch the NASCAR race on Sunday. That was about it. So I do apologize.
That was about it. So, all right. Well I'm going to tell you what.
Next time I speak to Lewis, I'm going to tell him you didn't watch.
Oh, I'm sure he's going to be that fast.
He was going to come on the show. Lewis told me he was going to come on the show, but because Lee doesn't watch the races, he's like, screw that guy, I'm not coming on. Right. I'll send my dog on. He'll send his dog on instead.
Oh man, I tell you. But anyway, great weekend for Lewis. Here's a guy that people are starting to wonder, is he washed up? Now I'm wondering if he's maybe he'll do a Palou and say, maybe I'll stay at Mercedes and not go to Ferrari. Because Ferrari since Monaco has really gone backwards. So
they'll be all right. I mean, in all fairness, Lewis is going there to say he's driven for Ferrari.
Yeah.
Not because
Lewis doesn't have anything win a championship.
If he can win championships and make the team competitive, great. But I don't think he's gone there for the raw performance of the car. He's gone there to, as I say, have part of that history around him.
Yeah, that's very similar to Alonso and Vettel.
Yeah.
Who really
went to Aston Martin. Yeah.
Yeah.
The history of Lance Stroll's money. Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, man. All right. So, other news, Liam Lawson, they're testing him in the 2024 Spec car.
Yep.
They're using one of their filming days for that. And that's got to have Perez pretty damn nervous. Perez, once again, underperformed greatly here in Silverstone. And we've got, 2 races left before the summer break. So Perez has a clause in this contract that says if he falls be more than 100 points behind Max in the championship, Red Bull can let him go. Perez is currently 157 points behind Max in the championship. So
with 50 points available. Actually, no, maybe he's one of them a sprint race.
Maybe, I don't know.
This is a sprint race, so basically Checo has to win both, get fastest laps in both, and hope there's a sprint race thrown in there.
And hope that Max doesn't
score. Not score any points in any 3 of those races
at all.
And then he's set for the rest of the year. Good job, Checo.
Yeah. So, you know. And the other interesting thing was I heard Mick Schumacher was out testing with McLaren, which I found that to be
that's through their engine partnership. So that's
right,
the Mercedes partnership.
Yeah, because he's a Mercedes reserve driver. Yeah. So, but
and also the Alpine WEC driver, which is a weird setup.
So. All right, so where are we next? Are we Italy or France next?
Hungary or Spa, one of the two. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Okay, so
still in Europe. 2 more races, yeah.
You like Max for one of those races?
I think there's a break because we've just come off that triple header. So I think there's a break.
You're probably
right.
Hungary.
So Hungary the 21st of July, and then Belgium the week after, and then there's the summer break, and then we do go to Zandvoort and Monza after the summer breaks.
Okay, so we got a week to worry about that. All right. Any other Formula One news we need to kind of hit on before we turn our attention over to IndyCars?
Nothing crazy. I mean, I'm not one to spread rumors, but there has become some there's become some murmurings about Toyota entering a technical partnership with Haas F1 for 2025. It'd be a form of sponsorship deal, I'm sure, in the same way that Aston Martin are with the Mercedes engine power and soon to be Honda engine power. So I don't know. I trust me. If I knew, I'd be the first one to know about it. But
to deny it,
as far as it's exactly. But no. Genuinely, this is something that's broken in the last sort of few hours. None of the mainstream media have picked it up yet, but a lot of the smaller motorsport outlets have picked up on the Honda and Haas potentially doing some sort of partnership. So I'm sure by the time we're on air next week, we'll know a little bit more, and I'll keep my ear close to the ground and see what I can find out.
All right, sounds good. All right, so IndyCar Series was Mid-Ohio, the beginning of the hybrid era, and we did see a couple of little glitches in the practice. The hybrid. One of the nifty things about the hybrid engine is that if you spin off track and stall the car, you should be able to start the car without them having to bring the onboard starter out. Didn't work in first practice. Had a couple guys that got stranded there, but they did get that fixed by the time race day came around. That was working well. Warm-up lap, Scott Dixon's car just kaput, died. Right there on the warm-up lap. They got him back to the pits. It took them a while to get that going. He rejoined the race 21 laps in to try to make some sort of showing of it, but eventually he realized he wasn't going to make up any more ground than he already had, which was none. So he did end up with the last place finish. So there you go. That, and then the other one, our friend Joseph Newgarden, right? Who's already had issues with software glitches, right? So, but this one is interesting.
Well, you did a glitch. It was a feature that they were unaware of.
Yes, earlier, but this one. So Newgarden gets a stop and go penalty, right? For speeding, he gets a pit speeding violation, right?
Oh yeah.
And then he gets a stop and go penalty. When he serves the penalty, he gets another pit lane speeding violation, right? Now, these guys have a button that they hold in on the car, the pit lane speed limiter, right? And it's supposed to take them down to the 45 miles per hour, which is the pit lane speed, right? Now, the data, and of course, Newgarden ended up finishing 25th after serving both penalties. He just dropping farther and farther down the standings. I'm sure he's looking at those 7 oval races coming up thinking, oh, here's my chance. But he's dropping farther and farther down the standings. But the data showed this pit lane speed limit is 45 miles an hour, right? The first pit lane speeding penalty, it was 46.33 miles an hour. The second one, also 43.66 miles an hour, which is really odd that it's the exact same amount. So that kind of tells me that his, he had his finger on the limiter, and that limiter somehow came out of calibration because his first several pit stops were fine. And nobody else had pit lane speeding violations. The pit lane speeding violations are usually on pit in when they do happen because guys don't get on the button fast enough. Both of his were on pit out.
Mm.
So
to give you, no, I don't know if this is how IndyCar does it, but a lot of series do this. What it's actually done is the pit limiter isn't based on wheel speed; it's based on engine RPM. So there's a number of things in there which can cause an issue with the speed calibration, which is what it sounds like here. As you say, the fact that it's exactly 46.33 both times, to my mind, is a calibration, not a calibration issue of the sensor, but a setting within the software. So a race engineer will typically go, right, okay, our speed limit is 45 miles an hour. We know what our gear ratio is. We know what our tire circumference is and rollout. So we need to know what RPM that correlates to. So we limit the engine RPM for that calculation. Chances are one of those variables, so whether the gear ratio was entered wrong or the tire rollout was entered wrong. Tire rollout's a pretty common one to get wrong because, also you get tire wear, but by the sound of things, if it was on pit exit, then obviously the tire is slightly larger than it is on pit entry because it doesn't have all the wear on it. And also it'd be slightly lower pressure. So the tires are a little bit smaller on pit exit. So that could be, something that they're looking at. And they may well, some of these fancy teams have calculated 2 pit limits, a pit in limiter and a pit out limiter to accommodate for the slightly different change of tire diameter. So maybe something went on there. I don't know. But yeah, it's not, that'll be.
But my other thought is that I don't feel like this issue is related to the hybrid system with Newgarden.
No.
Because the hybrid system is totally disabled when they're on pit lane. Matter of fact, they can't even use the starter. So it's just
nothing to do with that.
Yeah. So the only guy that had issue with the actual hybrid was Dixon, and it cost him dearly because he dropped from second in the standings down to 5th, I believe, 4th or 5th. Now, Pato O'Ward did win the race. Had a good battle with Alex Palou. Palou had his last pit stop was a tiny bit slow, and O'Ward was on a flyer. Was able to stay out ahead of him, and then he was able to hold him off. And Palou made a couple of uncharacteristic mistakes chasing him. A couple of tires off to the side there off the track a little bit. Little wheel spin in the corner, just enough that he could not catch him. And so for Pato, Pato has 1 win in the bag this year, but it was one that was handed to him 6 weeks after the race when Newgarden was penalized or disqualified from St. Pete 6 weeks later. So this was a really good day for Pato and for McLaren in general. Very, very good victory that was fought hard for and earned on the track. So, and Pato moves up to 3rd in the points, which is a good position to be in for those guys. So, otherwise, Richard, what else did you notice in the IndyCar race?
I think I caught it on a replay or the highlights, but I didn't. It's testament to both Honda and Chevy that we weren't talking about the hybrid from a failure standpoint. It's a little bit confusing, isn't it? How they have the push to pass and the hybrid. It's like merge it all into one.
You got to push to pass, give you 60 horsepower, but if you're regen, you get 120 horsepower. I'm like, why not just?
Yeah, just, and I think that's the plan, isn't it? From something I was reading, next year or in coming seasons, they will package that as one button sort of thing for the drivers, which I think is the way to do it.
That would make more sense, yeah. But
because it's really confusing. That whole, unless you've got like 100-inch TV and you're stood 6 inches from the screen, that whole, timing and scoring pylon was way too complicated for me.
Yeah, that's was a thing that a lot of people bitched out on social media, that the timing and scoring pylon is like, I don't get what's the red and what's the green. And then they had a little graphic that you look like the battery. And this is, well, why is it yellow before orange instead of orange before yellow? I'm like, okay, if that's all you got to bitch about, if that's all you got, that's got all you got to bitch about, it's a pretty good race, So, I mean, I enjoyed the race. I thought it was, Mid-Ohio is another great circuit.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a great track.
And they did the repave recently, and I think the cars did pretty well with the repave. No major incidents. We did we had another new guy at Coin. I forget who this one was. We talked about a couple weeks ago. Oh God, what was his name? Because he actually did decently well. Shit.
That wasn't him.
Huh?
Yeah, that was not the guy's name.
Yeah, but he finished 13th after qualifying like 22nd. So
I'll tell you.
Huh?
So I'll tell you. He's from the UK. We'll play Guess Who now. Does he wear glasses? Does he have a beard?
He's from the UK, yeah. He's
from the UK, yeah.
No beard. That's just funny. His name just dropped out of my head here.
He's done Indy Lights for Young Koss.
Yes.
Toby
Sowery.
Yes.
Toby Sowery, yeah, that decent debut. But he won't be in that car next week because Catherine Legge is going to be in that car for the Ovals. They announced that. So Dale Coyne trying to have as many drivers in the same car as keep up with McLaren. And speaking of McLaren, the other off-track news is that they announced that they are picking up Christian Lundgaard off of Rahal for next year and dropping Alexander Rossi. Now some people are throwing some shade at McLaren saying, oh, yeah, now you're dropping Rossi. But at the same time, Rossi doesn't seem too upset about it. Rossi's acting like he's already got something planned, and they both said it was mutual. And my understanding is that the bargaining point where they weren't able to agree on a contract had nothing to do with money and everything to do with contract length. I think they wanted to give Rossi a 1-year contract and he wanted a multi-year deal. And they didn't want to do the multi-year deal, so Rossi walked away. So it was a mutual parting. But of course, now the big question is, where does Rossi end up, right? Does he, swap cars with Lundgaard, go to Rahal? Probably not. Rahal has Yuri Vips in the wings, right? Does he go to Prima, who, and again, these new teams, I'll believe it when I see two cars on the grid at St. Pete. That's all I'll say about Prima right now. I'll believe it when I see it, but that's a possible landing spot for him. Ed Carpenter Racing may want to drop Rasmussen, put Rossi in that car. I don't know. And the funny thing is, you get your fans on social media are wanting to put him in a Penske. I'm like, I simply don't see that happening. Number one, now Penske does have a decent relationship with Rossi. He's driven their IMSA car for them. But number one, I don't see them expanding to 4 cars, and I don't see them letting any of their guys go. I think all 3 of their guys are solidly under contract through at least 2025. So, but that'll be something to keep an eye on as the season progresses, is where Rossi's going to end up. And it could be that one of Chip's 5 cars might be a good landing spot for him if somebody's sponsorship money doesn't come through. But we know Kevin Simpson is bringing a good deal of money to that team. So is Marcus Armstrong. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see where Rossi ends up. But Rossi's he got a glit in his eye like he knows something that we don't, and I think he does. I don't think he's worried about his future. Just listen to him. I think he's got it lined up, just not allowed to talk about it yet. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So we're off to Iowa next. Doubleheader at Iowa. And I'm sure Joseph Newgarden has said, thank God we're in Iowa, because this guy tends to win more often than not in Iowa. Swept both races last year, won one of the 2 years ago. There was one point in time he won the race with a broken hand. He just knows his way around that track. It's hard to bet against Newgarden at Iowa, and definitely Newgarden needs something to revive his season. Since the Indy 500, it's been nothing but 99 problems. So 99 problems and a win ain't one. So yep. So I'm gonna take Newgarden to sweep, honestly. Richard, who do you like for Iowa?
I was going to say Newgarden as well, because he.
You can, because
yeah, you already took him.
Rossi wins one, and Lundgaard wins the other. There we go. Keep it on topic.
Lundgaard. Wow. Okay, that's bold. All right, Lee.
Pato award for one of them. The other one is
Pato won one there recently. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So, I don't want to. I don't. You may not sweep them, but I think he'll pull at least one of them out.
All right. So you're just gonna say Pato for one of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
At least that came up with some like off the wall choices.
Yeah. Yeah. Another good choice.
Newgarden and award. Whoa.
I don't know. Another good choice would be McLaughlin. McLaughlin's gotten pretty good on ovals too lately. So. Well, you want
Richard disdains on that one.
You want an off the wall choice? Pietro Fittipaldi.
Stingray Rob to win. There we go.
Stingray Rob.
Or Levi pick right there.
Somebody gets the flu when they put Connor Daly in the car. So
he's doing 3 truck races this year.
Yep, and Xfinity race. Yeah. So that's a good transition over to our NASCAR segment. So Connor Daly, he announced that he's 3-race deal in the Truck Series. He's also going to run Xfinity for Sam Hunt Racing at the Brickyard, which is interesting because that means, in the one race he'll be driving a Chevy truck and then he'll be driving a Toyota car. Which I mean, if you're not contracted to a team, that's fine. But I see him having to change his driver's uniform in between each session. So, good to see Connor get some work, see how he does with it. But the big news in NASCAR is, of course, Chicago Street Race, which, again, hampered by rain, but also, again, a pretty damn entertaining circuit. So, Lee, now, you did watch this race.
I did.
Oh, my God. Over to you, Lee.
Yeah.
I thought I like Chicago. I think it's a fantastic setup. I love the race. I love the track. And I said this, I mentioned this in our discussions afterwards. I have never been so confused in my life watching a NASCAR race. I don't fingers, but it just seemed like, they come out of the rain delay. The city of Chicago says, "Oh, you can't race past 8:20 at night. We're gonna, at 8:20 we're shutting it down because I get why, because the city's got to take the racetrack apart and get it ready for Monday morning traffic. I understand all that stuff, and then I'm watching it while I'm at work. I'm kind of peering over my shoulder every once in a while, and they've got the 820 timer the 820 timer going, and then they say, oh, we got 75 laps to go, and it just seemed like make up their mind what they were going to do. And they ended up on time, and great to William Byron picking up the win.
Except Alex Bowman picked up the win.
Except he wasn't William Byron that won it.
Alex Bowman, sorry.
I confuse those two. I confuse those two guys all the time.
Yeah, I'm glad you watched the race, Lee.
I missed you too, Richard.
What would have happened if you hadn't watched the race?
I know, right? I wouldn't have known anything.
Yeah, I tell you.
Richard Petty probably won it if you hadn't watched it.
See, Richard Petty was going to come on the show, but now he knows you.
I'll talk to him tomorrow. I'll have a word.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Oh, man, I tell you. So, the guys that were strong early in the race, Shane Van Gisbergen and Ty Gibbs, of course, when that first round of rain came in, SVG got collected up in somebody else's mess. Took the favorite out of the race there because he did win the Xfinity race, and he was looking like the strongest car out there. He was definitely the favorite, definitely very capable of doing the sweep, but just caught up in somebody else's mess. And again, we see the problem with Chicago street circuit with the drainage, where they've got so much standing water on the track that the running the cars with the rain tires isn't enough to push the water off track. Mind you, it's not as bad as last year when they had to come and drill holes into the walls to get the water to drain because it looked like a swimming pool because they had put the walls in and covered up all the storm sewers. So they had to do that. But and again, a couple other weird glitches. You got like guys with the windshield wipers. The one guy's was I forget who it was, but it was only cleaning the passenger side of his window, which that's probably kind of got to suck because you're sitting on the other side. I'm like, and you would think, and then they're trying to decide whether or not they want to take a tear off, right? But they say, that first tear off is the only one with Rain X on it, so don't take the tear off. So still, a lot of imperfections when it comes to running in the rain, and that's just with the setup. How people drive in the rain, that's a whole nother story altogether. Some are pretty good at it, others are totally lost. But was Reddick ended up second, Ty Gibbs third, and the road course ringer Joey Hand finished fourth. And Bowman kind of lucked into that win. He picked up the lead pretty late in the race, and Bowman was been on a pretty long losing streak himself. Breaks his streak and gets himself into the playoffs. So, Lee, what else you noticed in Chicago with Richard?
Not much else. I mean, I did. I thought it was a good race. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, other than the long rain delay in the middle. I watched the first part of it, and then when the rain delay come on, I switched the channel, and what I ended up watching was pretty interesting, and I never flipped back to it.
Back, yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, that's so crap. I should maybe Google who won the NASCAR race. So
I mean, and Bubba got into a little bit of trouble. Ended up picking up a penalty today.
He
gave him a little slap on the wrist there for 25. Yeah,
$50,000. This is my thing about that, right? So this is at the end of the race with the rain delay and everything else. He gives Bowman just a little door tap, bump for an incident that happened on lap 25, which was at this point probably 4 hours earlier. I mean, was he still angry about it then? But it's kind of funny because it was pretty minor contact, just a little bump. Bowman wasn't even worried about it. He said, "I don't think he should be fine. He's just being frustrated."
Maybe it was a "Hey, congratulations" tap. I don't know.
No, it wasn't.
I know it wasn't, but
and I know how Richard feels about this. Richard feels that if I'm a betting man, Richard feels that the penalty was fair because drivers should know better and not act like that. Because there's serious safety concerns when you're going to use your car as a weapon. Am I right, Richard?
I don't even know why bother coming on the show.
I don't know.
You just say he can't join us this week, but these are his thoughts. Yeah, there you go.
He'll be back next week.
Yeah, funny.
And also, Frank, we're going to have a chat about this other guy, this Lee guy, because he says he watched the race, and when you ask him for his other thoughts, he goes, "Yeah."
It was wet. It was wet.
Yeah, rained a bit. Yeah. No, that was you were looking out your window there. That wasn't the TV.
Yeah, but anyway, so back to the Bubba Wallace. Yeah, $50,000 fine for actions detrimental to stock car racing or whatever they call it, unsportsmanlike conduct, whatever they called it. But it's just kind of funny because all your boomers on social media had to crucify the guy. What do you mean only $50,000? They should have set him down or suspended him. He should have lost points. I'm like, I've seen guys do a lot worse than that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a guy in an Xfinity race who threw his rear bumper at another guy, and they didn't suspend him. I mean, Tony Stewart flung his helmet down the pit lane and cracked somebody in the windshield. I'm like,
I don't think it's the necessarily the boomers that have an issue with Bubba there, Frank. I think you can probably class them into a different demographic.
John Force is out of the hospital and heading home.
Yes, let's we have a minute less, and I saw a nice picture of John Force and his daughter
and the kids
having an ice cream cone, and he looked to be in good spirits. Keith, rather, you have a graphic of John Force and his family. So Lee, what's the latest update?
So he's out of the hospital in Virginia. He's heading back home to California to do his rehabbing there. He's still, he's obviously a lot better, getting better day by day. Still has a lot of cognitive issues. 1 minute he's really with it, and then the next minute he's got a little bit of confusion, I guess is the right term for this. So the doctors in Virginia felt he was able to travel, flew home to California. He's in a rehab facility. It's one of the best rehab facilities in the country, from what I can understand. The team there has helped quite a few folks that have had TBI. He does have it's a long road ahead for him. This is, I've said it before. On the last time I was on the show, was that the last time he's raced? That's yet to be seen. But I don't want to say the cards are stacked against him, but if he wants to get back into the seat, it's going to be a long road. And at 75, that road is a lot longer than it is for these young kids. Even drivers that are in their 40s and 50s. So I don't know. The question is still there. John, if he's able to race, he's gonna race. We just don't know.
It's gonna be a while because interestingly enough, Simon Pagino, who's been kind of quiet lately, put out a statement Mid Ohio weekend because it's 1 year since he had his crash and his head injury, and he's still not good to go. He said he still struggles sometimes with the cognitive stuff and these sort of things, and he's he says he's being well taken care of. He's got the best help, but it's still a long road. So you can imagine John Force, who's quite a bit older. It's going to be usually people at 75 are getting the cognitive issues anyway, right?
Yep. John Force, I don't believe John Force had those issues.
No, I don't think so. He always seemed sharp as a tack to me.
Well, hang on. He was 75-year-old strapping himself into a drag car. Something wasn't right there anyway. So,
anyway, we wish him well. But that does take us to the end of the show. So again, thanks for our guest, Jesse Jakubajtys. Now, Lee, when you go up to see him at the racetrack next month, you ought to bring bring your camera up there with you, catch an interview with him on the on the track there, bring it back to the show, or we'll have Jesse back on.
Yep.
He's right in Keith's backyard. So, but very, very nice young man. Wishing him the best, and also thank you to our sponsors, Luis Torres Multimedia. Sometimes I see Luis. Of course,
in your dreams.
Oh my! All right, and Netflix, Prime Video, Shriners Children's Hospital. Oh man! Thank you to Facebook Live, YouTube, and Spotify. But certainly thank you to you folks that tuned in and watched tonight. We appreciate it very much. Until next week, good night.
Thanks for watching Drafting the Circuits. Make sure to follow Drafting the Circuits on Facebook, Spotify, Twitter, and YouTube. Drafting the Circuits is a Code Sinister One production.